everyone. We want to thank you for tuning in to today's showcase. We are so excited to be celebrating Black Music Appreciation Month with this awesome film. Um, it was just to me, it's such a heartwarming film. And it just lets you know that you never give up on life, never give up on your dreams. Things pretty much come in full circle. And so we're really happy to present We Paid, Let Us Get In, the legend of abstract mind state for you. Today we have a special treat. The filmmaker is in the house. And we also have one of our locals, team members, filmmaker, as well as musician, that Maine Dwayne joining us. Let me put both of you all in. How is everybody doing today?
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me today.
Oh man, this was perfect. I'm so glad you responded to us because we were like, I was like, oh, getting nervous. I was like, oh my God. But yeah, we're really excited. I mean, this film played in SABIFF 2022. You know, it's just one of those memorable films that we wanted to bring back to you because it's such a heartwarming film to me. I mean, just the
Thank you.
camaraderie, the talent,
Mhm.
the abstract mind state.
It was one of my favorite films from last year. I remember watching it and being I think I'm probably close in age with a lot of the people in there, and so I felt nostalgic watching it and growing up. And even though I wasn't as familiar with with abstract mind state, their journey I was familiar with because I went through similar journeys
Yeah.
here in Texas and San Antonio. So I thank you for doing the film. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. It
Well,
was
how did it come about? I mean, how this was your first feature. You've been around. You've been
Mhm.
producing for places like BET, Lifetime, Netflix, and so how did this film come around for you to even connect with the group?
So doing this film was really a full circle moment for me. I met the group in college. We all went to Jackson State University,
Oh,
HBCU.
Okay.
Um, I actually knew Greg, which is Olskool Ice-Gre, the male half of the group. And I didn't quite know EP well, but I had heard of the group. So we were familiar in college. And I want to say maybe about 7, 8 years later, I decided to pursue music. I said it was always a dream of mine. And I was at this moment in my life where I was like, if you're going to do it, do it. So I started putting myself out there on the Chicago scene, singing, neo soul was the thing. So I guess I fell underneath, that genre. And Greg and I reconnected and I told him what I was doing. The group was hot in the city and they were working on their album. And so I started doing music with them. I actually recorded on their first album. We Paid, Let Us In. That was the name of their first album. And the track actually was produced by Kanye West, believe it or not. So that's what I'm saying. This is like a full circle moment. And so, time, I worked with the group. Greg managed me at one point. Um, I ended up putting pause on music and pursuing television full time. I kind of fell into that. That's another story. Long
I
story.
completely understand.
And so fast forward to 2021, Greg tells me that the group is coming back. They're recording an album. Kanye had convinced them to come back. They had been in retirement for almost 20 years. Well, not even retired. They just kind of stopped doing music. It was never official. And so I had always told him, I said, hey, if you ever want to do something about the group, let me know. I would love to produce or work on it. And so he took me up on it, as he always does. And then we talked about it and we got started right away in 2021 filming.
I mean, I, it's like first of all, I want to say kudos to the HBCU because this year SABIFF is celebrating HBCU, so that's the theme for our festival this year.
Awesome.
HBCU Film Love. So shout out to that. One of the things, when people pretty much stereotype hip hop, rap, they stereotype this sister, this brother. They went to HBCU. They were educated, and they were bringing their knowledge and everything that they learned into the music.
Yes.
Which was so critical. I mean, in terms of the Chicago scene, we didn't know the Chicago scene. We didn't know anything about it. So this film, and just connecting the Kanye's from Chicago and the comments, all this, it's just awesome. I mean,
and I wanted to jump in with that because nowadays the music scene from Chicago is revolving a lot around drill, and in watching your film, there was these were very smart brothers and sisters that were rapping, and it wasn't just street talk.
No.
It was talk that raps that elevated. And that's something that speaks to me. I'm kind of low key a backpacker here in Texas, but so can you speak to that and the way music has shifted in Chicago from what it was to kind of where it is now, and the importance of Abstract Mindstate to come back and continue their influence over the city?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Abstract Mindstate comes from, the era of the backpackers. They were, backpackers, I guess, before backpackers were a thing.
Yes.
Like, they grew up listening, not grew up, but during our college years, we were listening to Tribe. We were listening to De La Soul.
Yeah.
We were listening to groups who had that type of vibe. So it was always about knowledge of self. So Abstract Mindstate, I mean, the name of the group tells you right there what they're all about. They wanted to have fun, but they also wanted to talk about the stories that impacted their life, but also teach people. And as a matter of fact, one of the group members, EP, she went into she's, you know what, I'm gonna have to come back to that because I'm drawing a blank right now. But she's in somewhat of an educational field, but more so about mental health.
Right.
But anyway, so I'm kind of circling all around the place. But yeah, it was really important for the group to highlight their education, but not necessarily shove it down your throat. It's like finding that balance of being able to give knowledge and share knowledge, but also not sound preachy. So yeah, and groups like Abstract Mindstate are so necessary because we're off balance right now in music, in hip hop,
politics
and
too. Shit.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't know a lot about drill music other than the names that come from the city because the music doesn't speak to me, And I consider myself a person who has a pretty good ear, no matter what the genre of music is, but that music really doesn't speak to me. But because it's become so prominent in our city, the voices that have something to talk about, they kind of fell to the background. So yeah, so it's the imbalance is kind of tough, and we really need a fix there. We really do.
And so, and I don't want to get too far off on a tangent because I can start talking deep about rap and how corporations have taken it over. I feel that there's a psyop going on right now using rap because when hip hop first started, we were speaking to each other and we were speaking about issues that we were dealing with. And although there was competitiveness in it, which is part of rap, and I think the base of it, it wasn't detrimental competition to where now it's me versus you. It's not an us thing anymore.
Yeah.
And I'll kind of come up out of out of the weeds on that one because I can get deep on it. But I think that having them come out and I don't know, I haven't heard the new music yet. But what is kind of the direction they're doing to maybe speak to the youth? Because now they're a little older, you're all a little older, so your conversation is a little different. What are steps that y'all are doing to maybe connect with the younger population that are listening to rap now?
Well, part of it is one, they're continuing to tell their stories about where they are in their life as an adult
Hmm.
person who appreciates hip hop music. Adult things like good credit, getting my mental health together, but then
Yeah.
also speaking to some of the things that are ailing us. Like one of the songs that the first single from their album that came out was called A Wise Tale. So they're actually speaking to young people like, hey, let me tell you where I've been so that you don't make those same mistakes. Also, there's another song titled Social Media, where they talk about how social media um, it was meant to enhance, but now it's kind of like, taking
Hmm.
over. It's kind of like a mind control type of thing. It's an addiction that a lot of
Yes.
people are that are struggling with it. So they're continually to tell their stories from their vantage point without sounding preachy, but also being inclusive, saying, hey, young brother, let me talk to you, but in a cool way. So yeah, Dreams Still Inspire was the album that released when we first put the film out.
Now they have kids that are the age that they were when they were out. I mean, there are kids in their existence in their worlds that are of the age where they were coming out. Um,
Yeah, and we met some too. Actually, in some of our screenings, we met people who grew up on their music that were from Chicago, and that was full circle too. Those were some beautiful moments when we met young people in their 30s who were like, "Yeah, I remember the group." Yeah.
That's fun. And I think it's important for, for the story to be told.
Yes.
So if you could tell us from your point of view as a filmmaker how it was dealing with abstract mind state, and I know you've known them for a long time,
Mhm.
but getting to kind of see them now from behind the lens, where you can kind of share their story and get deeper into who they are as persons and that make them tick.
First of all, I can say I'm so proud of both of them because they have both accomplished quite a bit in their own right. Greg, after he stepped away from the group, he continued in music and he managed quite a few groups. He managed me. He was the A&R for Good Music, and he worked alongside Kanye West for a long time, even prior, way prior into this to the record situation came about.
I mean, they were
Um,
both on another plane. They're up
hmm,
here. I'm saying they were both on another plane. They're up here, just
yeah,
with the way they think, their vision.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely. And then EP, Greg's partner, the female half of Abstract Mind State, she's in the mental health space. She's a board certified analyst. So I'm so proud of them and the work that they've been doing. But it was a blast working with them, actually, to be able to ask them questions about where they were and then talk about the college years. And along their way, they have connected with so many major players in hip hop. When they were coming up in Jackson State, David Banner was a part of their crew.
Mm.
And his partner, I can't think of the group's name right now. um, Also, hip hop and comedy were coming up. Like some of the major players in comedy right
Hmm.
now, like Dion Cole, they
Mhm.
were, kind of doing their thing at the same time. So he was in the film, as you all saw. Uh,
Hmm.
Common was always a big supporter of the group. So they had although they didn't have the notoriety like some of the other people that I've mentioned, they were well known in Chicago. And Greg was also known behind the scenes in music, in hip hop. People are still discovering, like, oh my God, you work with this person. But yeah, it was a blast to work with them and to go back down memory lane and hear these stories again and also learn new ones.
I mean, but the 16-year hiatus.
Hmm.
I mean, but during that time, Greg was doing his thing, learning, expanding, traveling, and but EP was dealing with some stuff.
Yeah.
Just with her family, her brother,
Yes.
and for him to come back, for him to have that loyalty to her as a friend, as a comrade. Oh, it was just so touching.
That's his sister. You know, that's his sister. She's his brother. I mean,
No,
she's
but
his
even
sister.
in that, Trizonna, I mean, you look at people like Destiny's Child and da da da. Yeah, that's your sister, but there are always that one that wants to go beyond
Yeah,
and lead. The other ones are just kind of like they fall off. So I just that dedication, man, you don't even see that shit anymore. You don't see
it's
that
the
anymore.
truth. It's the truth. And Greg will say it. He wanted that success with his partner. Like he never
Mm-hmm.
wanted to be a
Mm-hmm.
solo artist. He was going to be behind the scenes, or if he was going to be in front of the camera, in front of the microphone, he wanted to be with his partner. So, although, they kind of went down different paths for a while. EP was struggling with the things that she was struggling with. Greg had his struggles. Like, do I even want to do this anymore? Because there have
Mm-hmm.
been so many heartbreaks. The music we know can break your
I'm gonna
heart.
just get a 9 to 5. Forget this.
I understand. That's why I ended up in
Yeah.
television. But once they were, well, Kanye, talked to them about, hey, like people need to hear your music. Like
Mm-hmm.
what you have to say is still very important, and the world needs to hear you. So once they got past the, no, I don't do this anymore, it just made sense for them. And they had the most fun they ever had in their life recording Dreams Still Inspire.
And I was going to speak to that scene in there when they're speaking about forgot what event they were at, but Kanye was there
Mhm.
and stopped everything to come over and speak to them and ask them, "Hey, why haven't y'all done anything with me yet?" Um, and that right there, Kanye being one of the biggest artists in the world, you
Mhm.
know, um, and for him to look up to them for inspiration,
Yeah.
Mhm.
the Chance the Rappers of the world,
Mhm.
uh I'm sure that they were instrumental in the foundation of hip hop, and we may not always get to see the concrete getting made or the concrete getting poured
Yeah.
for the building to stand strong, but they were definitely in that mix.
Yeah.
And I, as again, I'm down here in Texas, so we have our Texas music that we bang, and a lot of people that probably haven't heard of the artists that we came up with.
Mhm.
But I wish I would have known more about them. Actually, seeing David Banner co-sign for them, was exciting for me to learn more about them. And I wanted to compliment you on in the documentary. You definitely capture their friendship and their relationship
Yeah.
and the energy that they still have for the music and for working with one another, because I know how hard it is, let alone just keeping a friendship
Mhm.
together for years, but a working relationship together going for years. So I wanted to compliment you on that.
Thank
And then also ask you about your journey as a filmmaker and some of the other projects that you may have worked on that led you to this, and maybe some upcoming projects that you have coming.
Yeah, well, as I said before, I started out in music, and the television thing, I kind of fell into it to earn extra money. Believe it or
Yeah.
not, a friend of mine was a casting director on the show, and she said, "Hey, I need a couple PAs in the casting department. Are you available for a couple days?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll do it." And so I actually did it, and I was like, "I like this. I want to do more of this." So I ended up PAing on a couple projects, and next thing you know, an opportunity presented itself to be a casting assistant for Damon Dash's show in 2005 called
Hmm.
Ultimate Hustler. And once I got into that, the casting director quit, and I ended up having to like figure it out on my own. And I guess I did okay.
Wow.
People started
Awesome.
hiring me. And so, I started out in the reality TV world. I transitioned into talk show, which I
Hmm.
ended up working on Steve Harvey's talk show. And thankfully, gratefully, blessedly, got a daytime Emmy for working on that
Oh,
show.
congratulations.
Thank
Awesome.
you. And then from there, I had always been interested in documentaries. So I kind of slowly started pointing in that direction. An opportunity came about to work on a film called She Did That, which ended up on Netflix. And that film focuses on Black female entrepreneurs, and it did pretty well in the streaming world. And so I kept, doing projects, and right now I'm drawing a blank on some of the things that I've done, but I've like worked on quite a few networks. I think last year I worked on something for HBO Max. And so my goal is to continue to tell stories that inspire me, which is usually in the music, entertainment area. And also, I'm dipping my toe into the scripted world too. So ultimately,
Dope.
I would like to create a series for television as well. So although documentaries and documentary series is my jam for sure, I definitely want to, just kind of expand into the scripted world.
Mhm.
Well,
That's
if it's anything like your documentaries, it's going to be amazing. I already know, and I'm excited to see whatever it is that comes from you.
Thank you.
What
Thank
was the
you.
process in terms of, did you have to raise your own? I know I'm independent, we're all independent filmmakers, so we know the struggles when it comes to trying to get a project of our own together. But what was the process for you raising funds? How many, I'm trying to talk production here. How many
Mhm.
days did you shoot? I mean, just give us the process of putting this together.
So this was a micro budget,
Oh, they
right?
all are, girl. But it doesn't look like it. That's the
And it
No,
was
it didn't.
all about relationships. So the cool thing about Abstract Mind State is that they have so many great relationships, right? Especially Greg. Greg knows everybody and everyone loves him. So everyone, he gave me a list of people that he wanted. And pretty much everyone that I reached out to said absolutely yes. Which included Common, Dion Cole, Special Ed, David Banner, and quite a few people who are known in the music industry. So that was a blessing right there. That doesn't just happen. So I didn't have to work too hard for them to say yes. It was more so trying to coordinate
yeah.
their schedule. But the group had some upfront money that they were using from the marketing of their album to put towards the film. And quite honestly, the film initially was just supposed to be a companion piece for the album so people would be like, well, who is this group? Why is Kanye putting this group out? We don't know who they are. So the film was initially for that. And then once we started doing screenings, people were like really responding and reacting to it. And we said, okay, we need to submit, to film festivals. And that's how we got your attention. So it just kind of was a building thing. The plan was not for it to become this big thing. And when I say big thing, there's still room to grow.
Hmm.
It was really supposed to be a private thing, and it just kind of took a life of its own. And we're so grateful for that. And at this moment, we are shopping the film in hopes that we can find a streaming home for it. So,
It needs to be on Netflix, period.
hello, you
Black
know,
Yeah.
Voices. I think that's what they have.
yeah, they said no, but
Really?
yeah. But you know what? Here's the thing. People don't get it till they get it, right?
Exactly.
If you just look at the trailer, you'll say, okay, that's cool, but you really need to look at the film.
Hmm.
Hearing how you all responded to the film and how it made you feel. And, you can't help but think about your own journey when you watch a film like We Pay
Right.
Love in. I told the group, I say, yes, this story is about you, but it is also really about, you know, never giving up, you
Yes.
know, never
Yes.
giving up. Because that minute that you give up, you just kind of short yourself.
Hmm.
And so many of us, myself included, you need that inspiration. Like, man, you know what? I thought 20 years later, it would be crazy for me to go after this thing that I've always wanted to do, but it's not. The
Mm.
crazy
No.
part is not doing it.
Yep.
That's the
That
crazy
part
part.
right there. Yeah.
you
Mhm.
know?
Mhm. No,
That's enough.
it is very inspirational, and it's no folks need to wake up to actually watch it. And then that's the thing, getting somebody to actually watch it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're so blessed that you allowed us to showcase it again for Black Music Appreciation Month. What impacted you the most? Just being involved in this project, emotionally, socially. I mean, just period. What impacted you the most as a filmmaker and a songstress?
What impacted me the most was the the fact that these two people never gave up. Because I'm going to be honest, like when Greg reached out to me, it was 2021. Um, it was a year into the pandemic. I really, like so many people who work in film and television, it really wasn't a whole lot of work going on. I was questioning myself, like, what are you doing?
I'm
You
gonna
need
get that
to
9 to 5 now.
you need to go figure out something else, because this
Yeah,
TV thing, anything could happen, and
yeah, yeah.
you're out of a job. So I was available for one thing, and I was honored that they asked me, but it also forced me to kind of like step into my own, because this was my first time directing. I had produced and been a casting director. I wrote the script for the film. Like I paper cut the film. And it was just myself and an editor.
Mm.
Long, long hours. And I can say I learned about a lot about who I am, because there were many moments where I was sliding down the wall, like, oh my God, how am I going to get this done? Especially, we had a deadline to get it done. And along, as you all know, when you're creating a film, everything under the sun can happen.
Oh yeah.
You lose footage. The lighting was bad. The audio was, oh my God, you name it.
Somebody said a magnet next to the memory card.
Oh my God.
Listen, I've had
Things happen.
experiences where footage was lost,
Hmm.
trying to figure out how to make, this audio work. And, quite a few of my interviews were done via Zoom,
Hmm.
especially with the high profile. I was just like, oh my God, is this audio going to work? Is this going to look well? But, I'm so, so grateful for that process, for so many reasons. One, having the opportunity to work with the group. Two, being able to direct my own project, and then also remembering and reminding myself that you too can do it. Like,
Hmm.
my
Hmm.
confidence, was going up and down, like, oh my God, are people gonna like it? So it was inspiring and both therapeutic.
I can see that. I could definitely see that.
Yeah.
Well, y'all did an amazing. You did an amazing job, and y'all as a team did an amazing job. I know it's not just a one
No.
person thing. So all the people behind the scenes that helped it come together, helped bring lunch that day that there was an interview. We got to thank all of them too, because y'all put together an amazing piece here, and I think that more people should see it. I love how you encapsulated it into a film of inspiration, because that is exactly what I got out of it. And then until you said the word, it didn't really resonate with me that that's what I got from it. Because
Yeah.
like I said at the beginning, I was rapping when I was growing up. And
Mhm.
there was a time in my rapping career where I had to make a choice. Do we still pursue the music, or do I, live life? Do I get a job? And I went into filmmaking, much like yourself,
Mhm.
but it's a question that, they seem to have been faced with many times,
Yes.
and they continued.
Mhm.
And hearing from his mom and all the friends, not just the big names, but the
Mhm.
people that were in his inner circle
Yes.
that really seen the struggle day to day. Reminds me something of what Lauren London said about Nipsey Hussle. She said, y'all know Nipsey. I know. I think his first name was. I'm drunk. She
His
said his
name,
real name.
okay. I can't remember it. It's not.
Because we know the character that is created for us to consume. But
Mhm.
when he goes home and he closes the door, that's when we deal with our own personal thoughts,
Absolutely.
and the confidence goes up and down. So y'all did an amazing job.
Thank
Um, future projects and where audiences can see more of you and find out more of what you're doing. Can you share that with our audience, please?
Well, in terms of like, there's a couple personal projects that I can't really talk about right now, but I will
Understood.
definitely keep you guys, in the loop once I'm able to talk about it, but I'm always working with other, like I said, I did a project with HBO. I've done some stuff with so I don't have any personal projects of my own that are out there right now, but I do continue to work behind the scenes with, some of the other channels and streaming services. So
Are you still based in Chicago? Have you left Chicago working on all these other places, or do you
no,
work
I'm
from home?
here. Yeah, I lived in New York for 10 years. That's where I started my career.
Okay.
Mm.
And then I came home 10 years ago. So to work on the Steve Harvey show, which was filmed here in Chicago. So that's what brought me home.
Dope.
No, I've been here. I work remotely a lot and then I travel. Sometimes I'll travel and have to be away for, an extended period of time. But yeah, I'm based here. Yeah,
What's it
thankfully
like?
these days we can stay where we are to work.
No,
So
that's true. I mean, there's a lot coming out of Chicago.
yeah.
There's a lot of people that we're talking with. It's like, oh, Chicago, okay.
Hmm.
Still can't go there because of the winters, but it's all right.
Yeah, I've heard about that hawk. I'm not trying to meet that hawk.
Yeah, that hawk ain't nothing to play with. It really isn't. But unfortunately, with global warming, the hawk ain't hawking like it used to.
Wow. Wow.
You know, that's a whole other
Yeah,
conversation.
that's a whole nother conversation. That's another documentary.
Exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
how's EP doing? How's the group doing? How are Greg doing? How are they doing now? Uh, what's going on with them? Do you keep
They
up?
are doing wonderful. As a matter of fact, they just recorded another album. So they have another album coming out. They got some really cool things that's coming down the pipeline. I know last year they were on tour with Slum Village. So that was a cool thing. And I
I
think
think
they
that's
have
some
some more
dope
stuff coming up
matchup.
with them. But yeah, they're still doing the music thing. They got some cool stuff that's going to be coming out um, towards the end of the year. EP, her day job is working in she's like I said, she's a board certified behavioral analyst. So that's her day job. Greg's day job is he's managing a group. And they have actually a project that's coming out. So they both still doing their thing and finding time for the music.
Mhm. EP traveling now? Is she getting out of Chicago?
Oh, she been traveling. She was just in I think she was in Colombia a couple weeks ago. Both of them are travel people, and I think she is going to Africa or went to Africa. So both of them stay on the road
That's
out
awesome.
of this country.
Okay, well
Well,
we wanted to just kind of get more information on like where can we get their music, where can we see them, where can we see the I know you're working on trying to get a distributor to get it exhibited stream on a streaming channel, whatever. Where can people reach you and get to see?
Well, you can find out more about me at TrizonnaMcClendon.com. Uh, and of my social, which on Instagram is at Trizbiz, Trizbiz. And the group, they're at abstractmindstate.com. And also on their Instagram, you can find out what's happening with them. And then the film also has an IG page and a hashtag. You can find out more about us there.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes.
well, I'm definitely gonna be following you on Instagram.
Yeah.
So
Oh, what's the new album? Do you know the name of it so we can like look?
The album, there, I don't have a name. Well, I can't share that yet. So
Okay.
they're going to be doing promo and stuff for the new album. But the old album, which inspired this film, I don't even want to say old album because still, they're
it's
garnering.
still a classic
Yeah.
album.
So Dreams Still Inspire is the latest album that's out. It came out in 2021, 2022. So that album it's on all streaming services, Spotify, Pandora, Tidal, Apple Music, you can find there. I believe the group has a song on a Slum Village project. So if you Google the group, you definitely can find out all of the information, especially from their website. And then as far as I'm concerned, TrizonnaMcClendon.com and my IG page will definitely keep you up to date on what's happening with me.
Okay.
Cool.
W, do you have anything else, darling, before we?
No, I appreciate you joining us today and sharing a little bit of what you have going on in your world and all the things that it took to get this documentary together. Again, it was an amazing documentary, and I'm going to be telling all types of people about it. So.
Please do.
And really, I want to come to Chicago and see them live in person. Or if they're ever here in Texas, I need to try to find out where it is and get there. I think that would be dope.
Yes. Please follow the group. Definitely follow the group. If ever in Chicago, let me know and we can connect. I'll definitely keep you guys posted.
Well, you know what? I'm thinking about next year for our theme to be based around music. So maybe we need to get them here.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, because there's so many documentaries and films about musicians that people just don't know. There's such a wide range. I was just thinking, I want that to be a music themed festival next year. So that's a good idea, actually.
Well,
I'm with that.
Like they on live, the two of them together. It's just like I don't know how they do it. It's like they're in each other's minds when they're on stage. Like their show is incredible. Their vocals, like both of them are just, I mean, their writing, just their style, how they deliver, and Greg will say this, like EP is a beast. She is a beast. Like she's my favorite female rapper next to MC.
But you know what's so interesting is, and I'm going back, but you know what's so interesting is like they're still keeping their lives. They're still keeping their day jobs. It's like, as opposed to dropping it and just putting everything into the music and just letting that go full time. They're still, they're like music activists, but they're, even with what they're doing in their personal life, there's some activism in that. And
they have to, though. You have to. Like the music business has changed so much. Like you really the artists that we've known through the years that were doing it big time, you unfortunately in hip hop, they make them age out, which is terrible. They don't do it to rock musicians. The rock musicians can just keep doing their thing forever and making big money, on tour. But unfortunately for hip hop, they have to figure out how to do multiple things in order to, lead the lifestyle.
They have to diversify.
That is so true, because a lot went into acting. A lot of them went into acting. But this is a milestone year for hip hop. I don't know if
years.
It's 50?
Yes. It's the 50th anniversary of hip hop.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Hip hop is middle age.
Yeah, it is.
My age. Yeah.
We're paying attention to the retirement commercials now.
Hey. Oh my God, Trizonna, this has been awesome. We thank you so much for this time.
Thank you. This was such an honor for you. It was one thing to select a film last year for the festival, but to highlight it for Black Music Month is truly an honor. So thank you so much for your support.
Thank you. Well, you take care. We'll be in touch.
Yeah.